That was a quick overview of the visual image of what photosynthesis and cellular respiration looks like. So now I'm going to explain to you what exactly photosynthesis and cellular respiration is. Photosynthesis. This is when carbon dioxide and water, with the addition of energy from the sun, are used to produce glucose and oxygen. And there are two sets of reactions that take place. Light dependent and light independent. No light's needed. The chemical reactions that occur in cellular respiration are, this is a different step, glycolysis, pyruvate oxidation, Krebs cycle, and oxidative phosphorylation. In glycolysis, it is responsible for the production of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, through the degradation of glucose. Now, there are 10 steps. You're probably wondering why there are so many steps. Because each has to facilitate the different enzymes. Now, all the reactions occur in the cytoplasm, and then it can take place with or without oxygen. Now, glycolysis, it uses glucose, 2-PI, 2-ADP, and 2-NAD to produce 2-pyruvate, 2-ATP, 2-NADH, 2 hydrogens, and 2 water molecules. And the net energy gained from this reaction is 2 ATPs and 2 NADHs and 2 pyruvates in the end. But although glycolysis isn't really very efficient. The next step we have is pyruvate oxidation. Pyruvate oxidation is found in the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Now, pyruvate oxidation occurs in 3 simple steps. The pyruvate is oxidized, so it goes from 3C to 2C acetyl, and then you're going to have a carbon atom that is released as a result. Now, your NAD is going to be reduced to NADH. And then last but definitely not least, your pyruvate is going to dehydrogenase into a complex that attaches itself to a coenzyme to acetyl. And then it will, in the end, yield 2 NADHs. Our third process, Krebs cycle, otherwise known as citric acid cycle. It creates 2 ATP molecules, 6 NADHs, allows an energy storage and transfer, 2 molecules of FADH, and 4 molecules of carbon dioxide. And last but definitely not least is oxidative phosphorylation. It occurs in the mitochondrial membrane. NADH is oxidized by electron carriers. The energy is created that creates a proton gradient. It drives chemiosmosis. In the end, it creates 32 or 34 ATPs. Oxygen is the final acceptor, and then as a result of this, water is produced and released into the membrane. And that was the 4 simple steps of cellular respiration. Now I'm going to explain to you what happens in the light dependent and light independent stage. Usually in the light independent stage we have mainly 3 steps. Carbon fixation. That's where the C3 cycle begins with the 6-RUBP, which is a 5-carbon sugar, but you know that it combines with the 6 CO2 molecules to form an extremely unstable 6-carbon compound that is immediately able to react with water, and it will split into 2 forms. So PGA, which is a carbon from CO2, and it is then fixed into a stable compound. Then the second step is the synthesis of G3P. Now, as you know, it's a series that will be able to catalyze the enzyme reactions that comes about by ATP and NADPH. And then the third and final step will be the regeneration of RUBP. Now, this happens through the reactions using ATP, and then it's about 10 of the 12 G3 molecules will regenerate this into 6 molecules of RUBP. Now, that's used at the start of carbon fixation. That helps to keep the C3 cycle going. And then, for the light dependent reactions, it occurs in 2 parts: light reactions and the Calvin cycle. The cycle, it occurs within the chloroplasts, as you know. These are found for the cell sacs called thylakoids. The stacked bundles of these are called granules. And the thylakoid contains a chlorophyll. As you know, chlorophyll is a pigment that helps to absorb the light that comes from the sun. And now, as you go into the steps, we have the light is absorbed by the chlorophyll, causing a transfer of any electrons and hydrogen atoms from the H2O molecule that are already there. Now, you're probably wondering, wait, what have I learned from this yet? Then you're going to realize that this causes the water molecules split into oxygen and hydrogen ion.
And the second part of this is that the oxygen is released from what we breathe, and the hydrogen bonds bond to NADP to create NADPH. The third step is that ATP is formed. It is formed through phosphorylation, and then the ADP gets a phosphate group added, creating ATP. And the last, but not the final stage, is the fourth step. The NADPH and the ATP created here, they go on to fuel the reactions in the second part of photosynthesis, the Calvin cycle.